Dark smoke filled the sky Sunday afternoon after a fire erupted in a vacant high-rise building in downtown OKC. Now, the fire was contained to the 26th floor, but get this, the elevator of the building only went up to the 13th floor, meaning the 80 firefighters on the scene had to climb the stairs halfway up to the building to battle the blaze. Officials say that the fire was most likely caused by an electrical issue.
Met with a couple of voters who had some strong opinions about the questions on the ballot, and one of them had a strong opinion about people who don't even get out and vote. Well, guys, you heard it straight from the voters themselves. It'll definitely be interesting to see how this all plays out. From Edmond, Kayla Ogle, and back to you guys at the desk. As we approach the end of the deadline, we found some people here at Precinct 60 who are having a little bit of fun with the voters. Now, guys, keep in mind that the polls do close at 7, but those who arrive at 7 still get to vote. From Edmond, I'm Kayla Ogle, and back to you guys at the desk.
And murder of a 44-year-old man. Tulsa police say the teen forced the couple to withdraw cash from an ATM before taking him back to their home, where he sexually assaulted the woman. Once he was back at the couple's home, he left to go to another nearby home where he killed a 44-year-old man while his family was in the back room. The teen was arrested on complaints of murder, armed robbery, and sexual assault. And Alton Nolan, the man accused of beheading Colleen Hufford, a co-worker at Vaughn Foods and more, back in 2014, has been convicted of first-degree murder. Nolan has been convicted of assault and battery with a deadly weapon for attacking another co-worker. During the trial, recordings of Nolan were played, and you can hear him say he doesn't regret it at all. Nolan had repeatedly tried to plead guilty and asked to be executed, but the judge declined his plea. Sentencing in the case began today, and we'll keep you updated. As Dylan said, Hurricane Irma left millions in Florida without power, but our very own Edmond Electric sent several crews out of state to assist with the relief. The crews will be in Florida for several days to restore power and help those in need. Edmond Electric assures you there will be several teams here at home in case of an emergency. New tonight, we have the latest on Tuesday's devastating terror attack that took the lives of 8 victims.
That's right. We know now the name of the pickup truck driver who plowed down several people on the riverfront bike path in New York and why he did it. 29-year-old Sayfullo Saipov was identified as the attacker, who says he did it in the name of ISIS. Saipov was captured after police shot him in the abdomen following a foot chase. It was reported that the truck driver was carrying a gun after exiting the vehicle, but the weapon turned out to be fake. Now Saipov is believed to be a lone wolf in this attack, but it's believed to be inspired by similar attacks that have taken place in Europe. With 8 dead and 11 injured, some are calling this attack cowardly. And because of the heat, safety has become a major concern for Florida's 4 million elderly residents. This morning, 6 elderly patients from a Florida nursing home died from the heat. Now, foul play has not been ruled out just yet, but police originally came to the nursing home for a heart attack call. There, 3 patients were found dead at the scene, and with 2 more announced dead an hour ago, the total deaths have risen to 8. More than 100 patients were found and evacuated from the facility. A United States request to ban North Korea's access to oil imports could be in jeopardy. The United Nations Security Council is voting today on a watered-down sanction that would eliminate the original request made by the U.S. Instead, there would be a cap placed on the amount of crude oil North Korea can import. The sanctions would ban all textile exports from North Korea and will keep all countries from authorizing new work permits for North Korean workers. North Korea issued a statement Monday warning they are ready and willing to respond with measures of its own. Well, it was a huge weekend for clowns everywhere. Coming up, we'll take a look at the horror flick that took the box office by storm. Today, the hurricane made landfall in Puerto Rico as a Category 3 storm, but it's been downgraded to a Category 2, and it's been confirmed that the entire island is without power. With reports of widespread flooding, Governor Ricardo Rossello is urging President Trump to declare the island a disaster zone. In Washington today, the White House said the president did not declare war on North Korea. This comes after North Korea's top diplomat announced that he took the president's tweet as a declaration of war. In his tweet, President Trump said if the North Korean diplomat sticks to their beliefs of their leader, they won't be around much longer.
North Korean diplomat also said North Korea now has the right to shoot down any U.S. bombers, even if they're not flying over North Korean territory. Tonight, we begin with the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. We're getting more details on the terror that took place overnight in Las Vegas. The gunman staged on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay Hotel.
We are joined together today in sadness, shock, and grief.
These are the words President Donald Trump had to say in response to Sunday night's devastating shooting in Las Vegas. The shooter posted up in the Mandalay Bay Hotel, where you can see his window blown out after he opened fire into the crowd. Thousands were screaming and running for cover as the gunshots echoed through the concert venue, leaving hundreds injured. Now, initially, the Islamic State took responsibility for this deadly attack, but the FBI said there's no immediate connection with the terror organization.
To have found the shooter so quickly after the first shots were fired is something for which we will always be thankful and grateful.
With the shooter now dead, President Trump has asked America to come together as one.
As you've heard, Hurricane Harvey devastated thousands of Americans, especially in Texas and Louisiana. Although miles separate us, we can still do our part to help. A fraternity here on campus traveled down to Houston to help with the relief. It's a story of teamwork, determination, and brotherhood.
Alpha Tau Omega, like many fraternities, have a focus on philanthropy. J.J. Brizendine, the philanthropy chair of ATO, knew their fraternity had the means but not the funds to help. But someone else was already making plans.
Michael actually stood up in chapter and said, I'm going down to Houston to help those in need. If anybody wants to come with me, just let me know.
I was going to go alone to help. I was going to maybe ask a few guys, but I went up to my chapter and I asked the whole chapter and not one hand was down.
But there was only one roadblock: getting on the road.
I put up a GoFundMe and I asked for $700 just for the drive down, but we got $980.
When the boys arrived, it wasn't what they expected.
This neighborhood got taken out by a tidal wave.
The water from the storm sat in the houses for days, leaving behind black mold and other destruction. But the boys set out to do what boys do best.
We start the demolition process, and I think that's what the guys loved the most. They went to town on everything, and they ripped all of the drywall off.
It was all just take out tile, take out walls, strip them down to the poles of the house.
All of the houses looked so bare inside. It was one of the weirdest sights I've ever seen, because I've never seen a house with the framework and just the framework.
The houses might have been empty, but on the outside, it was a very different story.
And just down the sides, where front yards used to be, is just trash. People's livelihoods are just on their front yard, about 5 feet high, just stacked of trash.
You know, this natural disaster really affects people, not just houses. These people's lives. These are a part of them that's being washed away with these houses.
Seeing all of it was a very humbling experience. You can watch this stuff on the news all day and be like, wow, that's sad. But going down and doing something about it, or trying to help and seeing everything with your own two eyes, makes everything just so much more surreal.
Realizing that, it really made us grow closer. It really made me appreciate all of them as well, because I was expecting just to go with 5, but instead I go with 27.
Even with everyone's efforts, there's still work to be done.
They're still taking things down. There's still a lot more houses that have black mold and that need to be helped out.
Reporting from Edmond, Caitlin Ogle, U Central News.
Now remember, all of this started from a couple of people with an idea. There's still more to be done, and if there's a will, there's a way. Well, Oklahoma is not a stranger to fires. Now, it's important to note that we are not under a burn ban, but there have been several house fires throughout the metro. Here are a few tips on how to keep us out of danger in between the rain.
Throughout the year, our waving wheat can be dry, ready to blaze with a single spark. It's common sense, really. It all starts with your car, because most of these fires happen right next to the road. Be careful of trailer chains. They can spark against the road and light nearby grass on fire. Don't park in the grass and dispose of your cigarettes properly. While Oklahoma is not under any burn ban, FireWise has sent out a homeowner's checklist in order to prevent any fires. Clear needles, leaves, and other debris from your roof.
Replace any missing roof shingles or tiles, cover exterior attic vents, remove items under your decks and porches, and any mulch with hardscaping. Remove flammable items within 30 feet of structures, and finally, keep your lawn hydrated and cut any low-hanging branches on your trees. Don't forget, talking with your neighbors and reminding them of these tips can keep us all fire-free going into the fall. From Edmond, Caitlin Ogle, U-Central News.
For more in-depth information over these steps from Firewise, go to their website, firewise.org. The United States government protects the people. But who keeps an eye on the government? It's simple, we the people. With all these issues between the government and the people, it's important to know that there are special acts that help you keep an eye on them. Recently, I learned a valuable lesson about one of those acts.
The Freedom of Information Act is there to help people know what's going on in their government, something that Dr. Clark, a journalism professor at the University of Central Oklahoma, has used over many years.
The article states that if it's a public meeting, the meetings are open to any person, whether you're a resident, taxpayer, or anything. You can record by any means possible.
Armed with the protection of this act, I was ready to attend an Edmond Economic Authority board meeting.
We are a public trust of the City of Edmond, and it's our job to assist business that's in town and bring new business into town.
I was ready to cover this meeting. My research was done, my questions were ready. I had a camera around my shoulder. But I was stopped because the EEDA didn't have room for this camera.
But if the Open Meetings Act says anyone could come in, why was I stopped?
And then there's just one little phrase, if it does not interfere with the conduct of business.
The biggest thing for me is this room is just, I wish I could just push the wall out a little bit because it just gets jumbled up.
If there was something that was controversial or something that was going to bring a crowd, a larger room should be considered.
But what are people to do if there's a controversial topic being discussed, especially if there's no room?
You know, I'm on other boards and typically you go through the same thing. You know, you've got somebody sitting behind you. Sometimes it's just a little confusing.
They're good people. I don't think they broke the law, but they probably could have worked with you.
That camera is probably not for our typical board meeting. It's not going to bother it.
From Edmond, Caitlin Ogle, U-Central News.
It's important to note that these meetings want participation from the community. They want to hear your voices. And if you do go to a meeting, keep in mind they're required to work with you because it's the law.